You ain't never seen greed until you can watch the family court system and watch during these child support meetings, these greedy mothers try to bleed these men dry. Title of the video today, Mom Refuses Child Support Reduction After Dad Was Laid Off. Now, the current child support arrangement is over $1,500 a month, which is, by the way, over double the statewide average across all economic conditions. But the mom wants to maintain this lofty payment for one child, even though the ex-husband is now unemployed. But this case, unlike most child support cases against the father, comes out in a favorable way. Let's get active on this one. Without further ado,
For the record, this matter is before the court on the plaintiff's motion to modify child support. This hearing is being conducted via Zoom. Present is Attorney Brent Lampkin, representing the plaintiff petitioner Ryan Lang. Mr. Lang is present with Mr. Lampkin. In addition, defendant's mother, Candace Lang, is also present. Good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon.
For the record, Mr. Lang has unfortunately realized a layoff from his employment. There's no anticipated date of return. Is that correct, Mr. Lampkin?
That is correct, Your Honor.
Parties have conferred with Ms. Brower. Ms. Brower, for the front of the court, has recommended that the motion to modify support be denied. Right now, I believe it's $1,515, but Mr. Lang is receiving sub pay as well as unemployment, correct?
That is correct, Your Honor.
And the court would assume, Ms. Brower, you've run the numbers and you don't find there's any significant basis with the reduced income to modify child support?
Your Honor, his year-to-date, as of a pay stub Mr. Lampkin provided, was $72,985 as of October 6th. With his unemployment and sub pay, he is on par to make more money than he was last year. We use a year-to-date at the front of the court for child support purposes.
they keep referring to sub pay. Now, sub is an acronym for Supplemental Unemployment Benefit. It's a bridge to help laid off employees find their next job. In this case, it's not equaling up to what he made while working there, but he has unemployment on top of that.
That is my basis for the denial.
So if this matter was noticed up next month, your recommendation would be the same, presumably, Ms. Brower?
I guess we would look at it then. He's been laid off for only 6 weeks, and he is making more money this year than when child support was ran last year. So I guess it really depends on what information he has as far as returning to work if he were to come back next month.
All right, Mr. Lampkin, any thoughts? You want to put this over for a month to see whether or not there's Mr. Lang's situation has changed?
I would prefer that rather than it be denied outright. And I just wanted to add my position to the record. I think the court probably understands that we were arguing that if it had simply been, say, a reduction in overtime, I would have told my client, hold on, let's see how long it lasts. Let's not file a motion right away. But being that he's on indefinite layoff and he's not actually earning his current earnings, if you run these, I'm going to pretend, for example, that he worked for an entire year at this sub pay. What would that turn out to be? He would be making the equivalent of about $36,000 on the sub pay, and then add in the unemployment of about $18,000. So he would actually have more like a gross income of $55,000. That's the rate he's earning at present, which is substantially lower than what he made last year overall. So his overall total, absolutely, his year to date will be high because he was making good money until a few weeks ago.
I know I say this on the channel all the time, but guys, an investment in a good lawyer is, while in the short term going to cost you money, in the long term, it'll save you money. Prior to the lawyer speaking, most people would say, well, he's making more money this year than last year, therefore, why reduce the child support payments? But the lawyer very clearly described that it's an indefinite layoff and it's significantly less pay in total with the sub pay plus unemployment benefits going into the future. He was able to maintain $1,500 a month on the past pay. It doesn't matter if he's going to make more money this year. His situation has changed, thus resulting in less salary or less income.
But I would at a minimum request an adjournment if the court's not inclined to grant the relief today.
Mr. Lang was employed with Stellantis, is that correct?
Yes, he is.
Is that where in Toledo, the G plant?
He's out of the Warren stamping plant.
Okay. The reason they court inquired because I know there was a number of layoffs at the Toledo G plant by Stellantis, so that obviously does also apply to other facilities. If we reduce child support now, then obviously put the onus on Ms. Lang to petition for the increase. Well, at this point, the court is inclined to just maybe continue this for 30 days, sometime mid-December. Mr. Lampkin, Ms. Lang, of course, what's your position, Ms. Lang? You've heard the position, both sides are reasonable.
Yes, as of right now, I'm still short $429 for this month for child support. The children could still really use this money. I understand that Chrysler Stellantis is doing indefinite layoffs in plants, but as like you said, Toledo got a bunch of layoffs as well, but then they also last week brought back a number of employees. So they are working on bringing back employees from Chrysler. So I don't know how long this indefinite layoff will be, knowing that there are people that are going back. I only know this because my stepfather works at Chrysler, the Toledo plant, as an electrician, and he sees that there are a number of people coming back from their indefinite layoffs. I do think it is premature to do this because it's only been a couple of weeks from the layoff. It's just,
Your Honor, if
I don't agree with it.
All right, so let me get this straight. So her position is number one, the kids need the money. I think he's going to get hired soon because my uncle told me. And, I just don't agree with this. Are you guys beginning to understand the difference between having representation, like the quality and the clarity of the words and the positions that the lawyers speak from, as opposed to the general mass? I mean, if you're going to be greedy, at least utilize a lawyer to perpetuate your greed. But open your eyes, ma'am. The man needs a little bit of help right now. Why don't you work more hours? The modern day entitlement is at an all-time high. Women like this need to get off their asses and work.
I'm sorry.
It's about a 6-week layoff. He's been laid off about 6 weeks. He was laid off, according to the pleadings, at October 5.
Mm-hmm.
That's correct. Your Honor, if I may add about a date of return on an adjournment, I think because it's the holidays, it might make more sense to have it in early January, because then there may be, we're past the holidays and they'll have a return date. If he's returned, then I suppose it would, undermine the motion, right?
Okay, we'll do that. We'll look at some dates in January. What's your calendar look like, Mr. Lampkin?
I will pull up my schedule.
Maybe the 7th or 8th of January, perhaps?
That's probably going to be good for my calendar. I'm sorry. Okay.
Okay. Let's see what this.
The 8th in the morning would work for me if that's I don't know when the court has the hearings. Typically in the afternoon, I would think.
Tuesdays and Wednesdays are motion docket, so either the 7th or the 8th, and you say the 8th is better with your schedule than 7th?
If it's an afternoon hearing, the 7th would be better. If it's afternoon. If it's a morning hearing, the 8th would be better.
What about 1:30 on January 7th?
That'll work.
All right, Ms. Lang, we'll send you an order. The court will enter an order with the assistance of Ms. Brower that this matter is adjourned to January 7th at 1:30.
So
at that time, review the status of Mr. Lang's employment with Stellantis. And I probably would assume it's probably difficult to find a temporary job, because if they know he's temporarily laid off, are some employers reluctant to hire someone if they know they're on temporary layoff? I don't know, just posing that question.
Yeah, probably. I mean, I don't know, but I would think they might.
Okay. Right, anything further, Ms. Lang, this afternoon?
I'm a little confused, I'm sorry. So we're gonna keep the regular child support until we return January, what'd you say? I'm sorry, 7th?
January 7th at 1:30. It's a Tuesday. It'll be, again, a Zoom
Okay.
hearing. But everything could happen then. The court could, if he's back to work, the court may do nothing. But if in fact he's not, the court could reduce, and it could be effective then, or could it be retroactive to the date he filed this motion, which is in November. So it could be a retroactive reduction, just so you're aware.
I don't know what that is. I'm sorry.
Well, it's let's say if the court reduced it to, generally, if there's a modification of child support, it's generally, it's not always, but generally retroactive to the date the person filed his motion. In this case, Mr. Lang filed his motion
in October.
October 30th. So if it's reduced, could be retro to be reduced for November and December.
Okay. So with that being said, just so I know, would that mean that the rest of November and December child support will not be paid?
No, but
Or
presumably he's
you
going to
said
pay
it will
as
be
much as he can.
back paid? I don't understand.
Well,
We'll have to-
hopefully he will pay that. Mr. Nankin, do you address that, Mr. Nankin?
Yeah, the obligation stays the same under the order until it's changed. And I think if the court were to retroactively go back to November 1, we could discuss how we would handle that.
Retroactively, okay. I didn't get that word, retroactively.
Yeah.
So you would just back
Correct.
pay what was got you. That's what was confusing me. I'm sorry.
Yeah, we would figure that out in a way that would be.
So then I would owe him money for the child support?
We might do something different rather than you having to pay him back, that we might figure out a way to resolve it in some other way.
The friend of the court can handle that. In the
Yeah.
event there is an overpayment, what we would do is take the full obligation each month from Mr. Lang, and we would refund a portion of that back to him at the end of the month to eliminate that credit. But if that happens, the friend of the court can explain that at the next hearing.
So the ruling from the judge is that currently child support is going to remain the same, at least for the next 2 months, until the next hearing. But at that next hearing, if he's still laid off, not only will the future child support payments be reduced, but then also the mother will owe him retroactively for the previous 2 months. An absolute win would have been the reduction immediately, but in the eyes of the family court system and the things that we've seen previously, this is absolutely a win. A perfect win would have been a reduction immediately, but this is a somewhat win, especially considering how we typically see fathers treated in the family court system. But let's finish up, and I want to come back with some more thoughts. Now, before we end off here, I wanted to go through some of the reasons that a person may request a child support reduction. And that number one is what we just talked about, loss of income. What's interesting about this is that they document that you cannot voluntarily quit or seek reduced hours. We've actually seen a couple of cases where the person purposefully is working less hours to have less of a contribution. Also, disability, health problems, or incarceration. This one right here is a bit of a surprise to me that I did not know, but support owed to other children. Your legal obligation may be reduced if you have to support other children. An increase of parenting time. This one makes sense. If the child is ordered to be with you more, well, then that should be less money that you are paying. And number 5, providing of health insurance to the child. Reducing the daycare costs. Number 7, an increase in a former spouse's income. So if they begin to make substantially more than before, then support reduction may be justified. What's interesting about this one is that it is rare to see men bring women to court because the woman now makes more money. This is a typically one-way gender thing. And finally, number 8, and this one is especially tricky, right? Proving that the other parent is underemployed, right? So if the man was the CEO of a company and now he's working at McDonald's, well, that person is proving that they have an opportunity to earn greater income. Therefore, the court may impute a higher income level for calculating support. The odd one with this one is that, what if he just doesn't want to be CEOs of companies anymore? How can you enforce that if that's not what he wants to do with his life anymore? Anyway, I wanted to show you guys just a little bit more education in regards to this, so you guys are not caught off guard if it happens to you. But that has been your video. I am absolutely tired tired of these menaces to the family court system riding by unabated, as it's clear within the things that they request and are asked for how damn greedy that they actually are. Protect yourself at all times. Ensure you understand what your rights are. And if you're not, contact a lawyer. Until next time, YouTube. Peace.